Hi, everyone. My name is Heather O'Rourke, and I'm the Study Abroad and Exchange Student Assistant for outbound students, you guys. On top of taking part in fun staff get-togethers at Christmas time, as you can see here, I also spend a lot of my time at work helping, or at least trying to help, students like yourselves learn more about the exchange and study abroad opportunities available here at Dalhousie, selecting the right schools, and filling in applications. Hopefully, you're now feeling like all that effort was worthwhile. I know I certainly do, and I'm not even the one going away next year. As I probably mentioned to most of you when I first met you, I had the amazing experience to study abroad last year at the International Study Centre, Hurstmonceux Castle in the south of England. You'll quickly realize that anyone who has been on an exchange will bring it up in conversation immediately upon meeting you, even if it doesn't really make sense to. It's just that much fun to talk about. From my experience, if there are 3 things that I can guarantee that you'll come home with, they are a lot of photos tagged of you on Facebook, some really incredible friends and hilarious stories, and a heightened sense of independence. Nothing gets you looking out for yourself more than a few months in a new country, figuring out courses and bus routes, and what to do on the weekend. From my own experience, from talking to friends who have been on exchange, and from seeing the other side of the coin working in this office, one of the things that I now know really can make or break an exchange experience is taking responsibility for yourself and for your time abroad. The more time and effort that you put into this experience, the more you will take home from it in the end, I promise. Your heads are probably all swimming with to-do lists and just general information, so I'm just going to take a few minutes of your time to share with you some tips and advice that I have for keeping yourselves on track over the next few months, accumulated from what I did wrong, what I did right, and what I didn't even know I was supposed to do until I got this job. All of you by now hopefully know where our office is and are starting to figure out what exactly it is that we do there. We do our best to keep on top of emails and phone calls and people popping by with questions. But as you've probably come to realize, there's only one Amy, and there are over 60 of you, plus all of the current exchange students visiting Dalhousie, and all those that are planning to come here next year. What that boils down to is one Amy with a lot on her plate. That gives her lots of information to draw on when she's answering your questions or chatting with you about your time abroad, but it doesn't give her a whole lot of time to actually sit down and talk to you. In terms of email alone, I think she gets enough in the run of a day to keep her very, very busy. I know that when I was applying to go on exchange in my second year, I think I almost single-handedly set the old study abroad exchange coordinator Kristen's inbox to its maximum limit. I think I must have sent her at least 100 messages, some of them very important, some of them not so important, some of them just to say thank you. After hiring me, she was actually going through her inbox one day and had one of those moments where she realized that I was that castle kid who'd emailed her all the time. As I know what it's like to be on the waiting end of things, I always try and respond quickly to your questions, and I know that Amy does as well. But when things get really busy, it's hard to get responses out quickly, so please be patient with us. What I'd recommend that you do is make a helpful, or if all else fails, simply funny, subject line, and an email that we can easily answer. Make it specific and show us that you've done some work. I know that if I sent a general, "Hi Kristen, I'm going away next year, is there anything I should be doing?" kind of email, it took weeks to get a response. But the, "Hi Kristen, I finished my visa application, my passport application, and my letter of permission. Is there anything I'm forgetting?" email got a much quicker and much more helpful reply. Finally, if you don't hear back from us on an important issue, remember to follow up. We'll do our very best to stay on top of things, but this is your experience, and in the end, you really want to make sure that it is everything it possibly can be. So don't hesitate to send another email along, reminding us of something we may have missed, or even just stop by the office and ask one of our staff members. Flowers, candy, and monetary donations are all great reminders too. Again, when I was going away, I was pretty keen before leaving, and I made sure I had everything all set to go. And it really paid off in the end. Not only did I have the time of my life overseas, but I even came back looking so responsible that they decided to give me a job. So, over the coming weeks, bear with us that things are busy and that you need to be doing a lot of the research and work on your own, but always remember to keep us in the loop. I love getting emails from all of you. Nothing beats procrastinating on my thesis like replying to a good question about study abroad. Believe me, I know from experience that for the next few months, all you'll want to do is talk about your exchange. Your friends and family might get sick of this, but we won't. We love this stuff. That's why we work here. The best part of our jobs is hearing about how excited you are to be going away. That's why I wanted to work here when I got home from England, to keep all that excitement going just a little bit longer. So as you're approaching your to-do lists later this month, there are just a few things that I would recommend you keep in mind. Again, studying in another place for a term or for a year is a big adventure. You might be staying in Canada, you might be going across the Atlantic, or you might be going to Australia, but in any case, things are going to be a lot different. We want to help you be as prepared as possible for anything and everything that might come your way. A lot of that has to do with taking responsibility for your experience and gaining a lot of independence. In my case, I was actually still living at home before I went away on exchange. I still had a great deal of independence. Believe me, I lived there for the money, not for the 45-minute drive to campus. And I'm sure that you all have a lot of independence as well. But I also bet that just like me, you guys still get that butterfly feeling in your stomach when you have to make a phone call to a business or someone you don't know. But don't worry, the butterfly days will soon be over. You'll be so used to asking strangers for directions and calling agencies looking for flight arrangements or visa help or course information that you'll be able to call pretty much any number in the phone book. As part of this venture for independence, we also encourage you to branch away from your parents and other family members and do this research and work for yourself. Believe me, parents will be a weird mix of excited and petrified at the thought of their little girl or little boy moving across a continent or across an ocean. And while they're still a great source of information and support while you're preparing to go away, they won't actually be there with you. And so learning to do things on your own will save you a lot of panicked and expensive international phone charges later on. It also makes our lives much easier. In the past, we've actually had parents call our office trying to arrange for their kids' visas applications. Not only is that a little weird for us, but we can't even help them. There are rules at Dalhousie protecting your privacy, and that means that we can't legally discuss anything about your exchange with anyone other than you, no matter who might help out with tuition here and there. What that basically boils down to is that you should be doing all the big important things, like getting a visa and a passport for yourself, then fill in your parents where they need to be involved, like, for example, calling to let them know that you've arrived safely in Norway so that we don't have a panicked mom calling our office thinking that you fell off a fjord somewhere. So doing things in advance and for myself really worked out for me in the end. Sure, there were some confused days, but I learned a lot in the process, and I even got to ride a camel in Morocco. By looking after things well in advance, I got to travel all over Europe and brought a lot of skills home with me that I didn't even realize I was picking up. You learn with time and with travel that you really need to take initiative and look after yourself. Like when you're sitting on a train that just left the station, that would have taken you to the airport, where your flight was supposed to be going back to London in less than an hour. Those are the times that you realize how great it is to be able to figure out how to ask someone where the train is going and how to get back to the airport, and then when you get there, how to buy another ticket back to London without whipping out your cell phone and calling your mom and dad. So by looking out for myself and taking responsibility for my experience while I was away, I saved myself from a ton of headaches and a lot of money on overseas calling. And I hope that tonight is helping you all benefit in the same way. It might seem like a lot to take in right now, but remember, in just a few short months, it's going to be you riding a camel in Africa, or surfing in Australia, or studying at a cafe in Europe. We just want to make sure that you get to take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. Thank you.